Marissa, you say we're all here?
Yep, it looks like it. I'm pushing us to YouTube now.
Okay. I'm in a little trouble getting on the video, but we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order for the HCLC January meeting. And if I can, Dr. Herring, are you available for a short invocation?
Always. Let us pray. Let us pray. Father God, once again, we thank you for another day that we are blessed, that you have blessed us to be here. A very historic day, a day for America, a day for our communities, and a day for the people. Father God, we pray that for our leaders of this country, we pray for the leaders of our community. Father, we pray for the leaders and the members of this commission. We pray that all that we do for the benefit of our communities today will be done with your blessings. These are the blessings we ask in your son named Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Dr. Herring.
Mm-hmm.
Marissa, are you available to call the roll?
Yes, I am. Miss Shakia Guest.
Present.
Dr. Lynn Aniti. Miss Sybil Talley.
Present.
Dr. John Herring.
Present.
Miss Chairman Charles Storm Mitchell.
Present.
Miss Carmen Hallowell Ferguson. She's present in the chat. Miss Elizabeth T. Miller. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Hopefully, if everybody has had an opportunity to review the November minutes, thank you for getting those put together and getting those out. Anybody have any changes or corrections to the minutes? Does anybody need another minute or two to review, or has everyone had a chance to look at them?
I've had a chance to review them.
Okay. Entertain a motion for approval.
Mr. Chair, I move that we accept the minutes as noted.
May I have a second?
I second the motion.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Approve as presented. Thank you all so much for putting those together. Marissa, looks like you're getting things set up for the YouTube there.
Yes, sir.
I assume we're going to discuss the survey first.
Yes.
Hopefully, if everybody's had a chance to take a look at that survey, y'all did a great job putting that together. A few modifications, I would imagine, but y'all have done a great job pulling that together. I think that's great stimulus for some feedback. So thanks again for all y'all's effort in pulling that together.
So now if no one has any edits to the survey, we'll go ahead and plan to get that pushed out this week. And then we'll maybe plan to have responses back by our March meeting, if that sounds like a good idea to you guys.
That sounds like a great idea. The only concern that I might have is that provide an area. If we're sending that area out as a attachment to an email or to the council people websites or their newsletters, is it appropriate to have a lines on that paper, or how do we expect that feedback to come in? Do we expect it to come back in and just email notes, or do we expect it to come back in as actually categorized per your question?
So we're going to send it out as an online survey. And so after people take the survey and fill in their questions, the answer to the questions online. And so since it's online, what we'll be able to do is go back and get like an Excel sheet or spreadsheet that has all of the answers on there. And we'll be able to go through Excel and categorize the responses how we want so that we find the information we're looking for, and we can organize the responses that way.
I have a question. Do we have a preview of how it will actually look in the survey, and what survey platform are we using?
I was suggesting using SurveyMonkey, but Google Forms is also an option. I can take screenshots of the survey after I put it online and email that over to you guys in a PDF document if you'd like to see a preview of what it will look like before we send it out.
Yes, I know. I would like to just see how it's formatted in the survey tool itself.
Most definitely. That's
Marissa,
definitely something we can do.
Do we already have a SurveyMonkey account?
I have a personal account, but it won't be a challenge to make one for the city. I also have like a Planner City Google account, so I can also make Google Forms that way too. It's just going to depend on which format looks the best and is the easiest to use.
Is there a cost for the SurveyMonkey?
I don't believe there is.
Okay, we'll play with that then, over the next week and a half and see if we can get that set up for everybody.
Great. And if you just want to provide an interim email out to everybody and show us what you're looking at beforehand, that would be great. And
Absolutely.
I appreciate y'all's effort on this.
Most
This
definitely.
is a great step towards putting together kind of a history of our area and what we need to start documenting and preserving. So that's appreciated. Anybody have any other questions or comments on the survey?
Just one comment on the survey. If there is anyone in the office who might be able to just test it, just to make sure that when our citizens do the survey, that it returns the feedback that we want, and that we are receiving the information in a format that we can use. So we just need maybe 1 or 2 folks to test it out. That would be my suggestion.
Yeah, most definitely.
Okay.
Great. I think we can move ahead from there. I don't see any other items in here that we might need to discuss. We need to be careful about. We need to have our heads around who is actually going to be responsible for putting together the history of South Fulton. We have many resources that we need to call upon to reach back as to how we formed to become a city. And we just need to be careful about who is driving that. So just to keep everybody informed. Do we have an update on the Arcadia booklets?
So they are basically ready to go with us, but we just need to get confirmation to them that, we are wanting and able to do it. We'll need to kind of escalate this one because, they'll need some kind of confirmation that we're going to actually purchase a certain number of books as part of the deal. So it may be time to, and I have a sample book that they mailed, just one copy in my office, and I can sort of scan in any other supplemental materials, but it may be time to sort of increase the visibility of this project with the council members to see if we can get some sort of sponsorship and some more broad agreement that this is the path that we're going to go down. But from an Arcadia standpoint, they're ready to go, but I think we have a little bit of homework to do, and we have to make sure that we are gathering the type of documents that we need, getting those scanned in and organized enough to have that process going. I know, this is I think it's a great idea. I think it's going to work out well. We just need to make sure that we are, as I said, really organized and really thoughtful, because it's going to be a lot of work to gather the information, gather the text, and get it submitted properly. And so, I would rather us be thorough and move slowly as opposed to just rushing and not having it go correctly, if that all makes sense to everybody.
Nathan, I think you've got a good handle on what it's going to take to put this together, and understanding that it's not something we're going to be able just to knock out in a few weeks or months. It's going to take a little time to pull this together. The biggest issue I think we have for us in the short term is figuring out what sort of format we want to put this in. Do we want to, as y'all had in the minutes earlier, do we want to do this on kind of a chronological basis? Do we want to do this based on the individual districts? How do we want the format, and what do we want to get across in this document? Do we want to have it as just kind of an informational book, or do we want to have it as a historic reference? Do we want to use it as, well, it will always be promotional and for marketing, but what sort of direction do we want to take this? And opening the floor for any comments there. We need to find out what direction we're going in and what we want to produce before we start heading down this path. What is our goal?
This is Nathan. Let me say one thing. What I'm going to do for the group before our next meeting is I will sort of put all the sort of facts and steps in sort of a roadmap for this project. And so, I'll say, okay, and I'm making this up just for the point of this example. I'll say step 1, talk to the council members to get support. Step 2, make sure we've secured a certain amount of funding. Step 3, sign a contract with Arcadia. Step 4, divide up responsibilities, something like that, and see if that sort of works for everybody. Because I think if we sort of have a roadmap and specific intermediate goals, we can sort of just start knocking those out on the path to having the book produced.
Nathan, I think you've got a great concept there. We need to put together an outline of our process and procedure for getting to the end. However, I think we also, in order to get the council on board with this, we need to have an idea of what we want to produce and what it's going to kind of look like conceptually in order to gain their support.
Let me say this. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I think exactly what you're saying as far as outlining the process and procedures is absolutely a necessity. But I think we also need to have an idea of what we're going to produce to get the buy-in from the council.
Let me say this one thing. What I would, I agree with that. I would alter it just slightly, only to say that the Arcadia books, they pretty much have their standard format. So the pictures and captions and text that the group gathers and we get from the community will be displayed generally in the same way that the other books are. Now, there may be some leeway in terms of the ordering of that and how we want to, how we want to name the chapters of the book, for lack of a better term. What I think would be very valuable is to spend some time with the group and come up with a narrative of what this will be used for, why it's beneficial, how to sort of sell it. I mean, we're not going to be asking council for a lot of money, but we'll have to have a really well hashed out reason for why we're doing this project and why we think the council should be interested in it.
Nathan, I'm in total agreement, as I would imagine most of the rest of the commission is. We just need to have an idea of how we want this formatted. Mm-hmm. I agree that Arcadia has the formats and the kind of the outlines of how to put this together.
Right.
But we need to determine our goal with this what do we want? How do we want the booklet to be put together? How do we want it to be presented? What is our focus? And we need to determine and get our arms around that before we move too much further. And that way, when we go to the council, they'll at least have a reason, like you said, for why are we doing this.
I think that I think Nate is right on target in terms of a PERC project, in terms of step-by-step process. And also with that, I think you can wrap that around an executive summary, and that would give like an informative statement to the council so that they'll have a general idea of what the end state will be. I wouldn't try to present them with an entire document as per se, but I think a PERC chart, as Nate outlined, will be a perfect beginning stage, and then wrap it around an executive summary, and we can move from there because this is a work in progress.
Forgive me for interrupting, but can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I changed devices, so. All right, thank you.
I also want to suggest that once we begin receiving responses back to our survey, that we'll have an opportunity to go back to our respondents. Once we outline, maybe some of the formatting criteria that we need, exactly what we're looking for this publication, for those respondents who tell us that they do have resources that they want to share with us, then we can go back to them with some, this is exactly what we need. This is how we, this is the process, because, part of this survey is really to drive activity for this book. We really need some of that survey information to kind of help shape what goes into our book. So this is perfect timing. I put in the chat just a message about, having a good project timeline with some milestones and benchmarks along the way so that we can keep the project on track. I definitely agree, Dr. Herring, that we need some type of executive summary to kind of kick things off too.
Well, this is good. I do appreciate all the effort that the staff is putting in on pulling this together. As was mentioned, it's a work in progress. All thoughts are appreciated, so we can, if 50 things can go wrong, you're lucky to think of 48 of them. So we're going to try to do our best to get to there, to get to the entire 50. We want to make sure that we've got answers for all the questions that may come from council, especially, and make sure there aren't any hiccups in the process. So what's been outlined and what's been discussed, I think Nathan and Dr. Herring, you're absolutely correct. We need to move ahead to determining our goal. What is the focus of what we want to do? I think there are a couple of different directions. We just need to make a determination. And if we can think about that over the next couple of days, as we are initiating the survey, we can get back together and discuss it. Just as far as I'm concerned, maybe we can do it with email chats. Just be sure to include everyone in your post so everyone's up to speed and apprised of what we're talking about. I assume there's not a problem with doing that. I'll have to seek, seeking advice from the council there.
There isn't. I have one more question. So are we planning to submit this at a council work session or to introduce it to council, or were we planning to speak to them in a different format?
Let me say this. I would suggest that we do this informally to begin and have the members, talk to their respective council members who appointed them and just sort of plant that seed. I don't want to. I think if we say, oh, we're going to present this to them at a workshop right now and they have no idea that it's coming, I think that would be bad. So we need to just make sure that they are informed and have an understanding that this is going to be headed their way before we say, oh yeah, let's get it on an agenda. Because that will be a couple months off for sure. So we could be doing plenty of things in the meantime, but I don't want to commit to saying, yeah, we're going to be at the council formally at this date without them knowing thoroughly what the plan is.
Nate, I think you're on target. Nate, I think you're on target with that because, as you well know, a lot of sparks went through the council. And so no one likes to be blindsided by anything. And we need to take this very serious. So yes, I agree totally that we need to brief our constituents in terms of our relationship with our council member so that they would be informed foremost of what we are doing, and possibly we'll gain some support in that area as well.
Great comments. I've already approached Councilwoman Gilliard. She is excited about the possibility. She said it would be, she could see the ability to use this in marketing as well as the documentation for the area. So she's on, or at my last discussion with her, she was on board fully with this. So if we can get kind of the same, if everyone can reach out to their council members directly, and as Dr. Herring said, they don't need to be blindsided by anything. And the more buy-in we can get up front, the better off we are. Anybody else have any comments concerning the Arcadia book?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I spoke with my council person, Corey Reeves, on yesterday and gave him a brief summary of what we're doing, an update. He has established a committee of all of the neighborhood association presidents. And I told him that might be one way that we would also try to piggyback and get information from them about their respective neighborhoods or just any historical and cultural landmarks within their immediate community. So again, I would recommend that we, in addition to all the other people we're talking about approaching businesses, churches, etc., that we look at approaching an established group as well as the Old National Merchants Association. They have access to business, to all of the businesses in the area. Just a thought I threw out. Yeah.
Agreed. Onaro has been a long time involved in that area. All the organizations that have developed in the Old National area we need to touch base with, because there are many things that have occurred that are probably long forgotten by most. So you're absolutely correct. We need to reach out to as many groups as we can. Anything else relative to the Arcadia update?
Yes, I just have one comment about any outreach that we do once we get the Arcadia project up and running. You know, one thing that would be nice to have is like a consistent message that we can share with these different groups. So, you know, to really help promote it. So, you know, maybe if that executive summary, if it's something that we can, you know, repurpose and send out either via email or when we're talking to people or just communicating with them in general, you know, it would be nice to have a consistent message from the commission that talks about the project to really get more buy-in, just so that we're all saying, you know, pretty much the same thing. We're delivering the same message, and districts aren't, you know, hearing something different. So that's something that I would definitely like to see us create.
Right. I think that's appropriate. Any other comments on the Arcadia update?
And at some
Hearing
point,
none, go ahead.
I was just at some point in the whatever future, distant or not too distant future, once we identify the businesses, the churches, the organizations that we will be approaching, we could actually set up a calendar of when they meet and have, like how the census people did. You know, they come to your group when they meet and asked to do a 10, 15-minute presentation on what it is we're trying to do. You know, just, it may take us a few weeks or even longer to do that, but that would be one way. And as someone just said, I think Sybil, that we would have a standard document that we would speak from so that we would all be given the same message about what it is we're trying to do with the project and involve the communities.
Absolutely great thought. That's just another tool that we need to work into this.
Mm-hmm.
Marissa, if you would like, you have something on the ordinance update?
Yes, I do. So we submitted our ordinance to DCA, and we are still working with them to get it approved. Once it's approved, we will have qualified local government status, and we'll be able to apply for different grants and things. They had one additional edit, and I think that we solved that one. So we're going to resubmit it to them. And then I think that'll be just about it. So that should be completed within the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, let me
And
just
that
add on.
is-
I'm not totally sure, this second, the details of what, of what the grant and funding options are, but I know that once we, get all of our paperwork and background information signed off, we will be as aggressive as we can be in applying for any, state assistance to our local projects that we can. So this is a necessary step, but hopefully it will be, one stepping stone to bigger things.
I have a question for Nathan and for Marissa. Has the amendment to the final ordinance that was sent out a while back, has that been adopted by the council yet?
It has, and in the email I sent this morning, I think the last one I attached both the Municode text and the copy of the amendment that was passed, and that should be the signed copy. I need to check with the clerk because that should have been in Municode by now, and so I'm a little curious as to why it isn't, but I guess that was basically all of December that the time it would have been, so there could have been a little hang up there. But okay. I was surprised that it wasn't in Municode, but it certainly needs to be there, so I will check on that. But you should have in your inbox from our chain this morning the signed ordinance that was adopted.
Okay, so that's great. It has been adopted, and according to Paige Jennings' email that I got to review, I think her only concern is the term limit, and we already have that term limit in the original ordinance, which has not been entirely repealed. Only certain sections of it have been revised to include, all the different requests that the DCA had made, and also just to bring it in compliance with state law. So there should be no further amendments that we need to make to this, the revised ordinance. So we should be good in that sense. But if they have any other questions for us, let me know regarding the grant coordinator.
Okay.
And sweet.
Real quick, before Nathan, you're saying before they get amended, or excuse me, as they're being amended, they're being uploaded to Municode. If we have the DCA amendment, is it been incorporated into the copy going to Municode?
So the way the process works that I understand it is that pretty much after the council meetings, the clerk sends the adopted ordinances off to Municode, but there may just have been a delay in getting either that sent off or the changes made. But the Municode should have a copy of the ordinance changes that we made already, but I will check to make sure that even if the update, there's a delay, that they at least have the copy of the changes that need to be made, so that our Municode will, at some point in the future, hopefully not too far, reflect 100% what has been edited.
Okay, now I'm a little bit if you wish, blindsided by this. I wasn't aware that the DCA was making amendments or were making recommendations to amend our ordinance. Is everyone else aware of what the amendments are?
So if I can provide some clarification. So normally we would have submitted it to the State Historic Preservation Office, but the State Historic Preservation Office, maybe a month or two ago, combined with the Department of Community Affairs. And so now they're under the Department of Community Affairs, and the Department of Community Affairs is who checks the ordinance for qualified local government status. And so the amendments that we made are the ones that we had started talking about last year in March and April, and they're the ones that we had discussed and submitted to council for approval.
Correct. So that whole process of updating the ordinance was driven by state requirements at the outset. So we were doing it in order to remain current and in compliance with all state, which is DCA guidelines.
Okay. And you're saying that these amendments are being approved, or have been submitted to the council for the council's recognition and prior to being submitted to Municode.
Yeah, so the council already adopted these last November. And the only thing that we need to confirm is that they have been sent off to Municode so that our public records reflect all those changes that have been adopted by council. So all these changes that we're talking about, these are what we reviewed last year, months and months and months ago. So none of this is new news. The only new news is that we're going to do a second review with DCA because they had some questions on what was being reflected, and they didn't have the full text of everything that they needed to have, but we have it and they will have it soon.
I may have missed this understanding of the term limits. Are we saying that if you serve, the 2 years, that is the limit on how long you can serve? And also, is it the council person for that particular district that says, I want to choose someone else, or I want this same person to go for another term? I'm a little confused on how. Does the limit mean that's it, even if your council person wants you to remain for another term? Or I missed that discussion or understanding.
So let me jump in on that. We have in here. Let me just start from the beginning, so we're all on the same page. We made certain revisions to the existing ordinance as it stands because we wanted to get certain grants from, especially the certified local grant. And at that point, I think I was talking to Donna, I believe it was, who explained to me that, not only do we have to have everything that's in the state law written in our ordinance, but then she also recommended certain additional revisions that she wanted us to make to have in our ordinance. So when I revised the ordinance, I left certain portions of the original ordinance as is because they did not need to be revised. And then I changed some of the provisions which did need to be revised. Now, the term of office is the provision that I did not revise. So the term of office as it stands is 2 years. And according to state law, it has to be 3 years or less. Now, in our original ordinance, it says that the newly appointed members shall be installed at the first regular meeting after their appointment, and that the members shall serve in places numbered 1 through 8, and that members appointed in odd-numbered places shall serve terms which expire October 1st of odd-numbered years. And then it says members appointed to even-numbered places shall serve terms which expire again on October 1. And then it goes on to talk about vacancies. in how commission members may be appointed to succeed themselves and shall serve at the discretion of the city council until a new member is appointed in their place. So once we have this portion of the original ordinance incorporated, once we have the amendment and the original ordinance, all of it put together in a final format, then I think that's the one that we should circulate to the board and everybody so that, everyone has a copy of the entire ordinance, including the revisions.
Yeah, I will certainly commit to the group to get a copy of the completed, updated Municode and final ordinance. Once I have it in my possession, I will certainly make sure that everyone has a copy of that.
Thank you. Did I hear someone else have a comment?
Yeah, I have another question. I'm sorry.
No, not at all. Go ahead.
Okay. I understand that each term is for 2 years, and I understand that in the odd years and the even years, I understand that part. I guess what I'm not understanding is, are there limits on how many times you can serve a term? Like, of course, for our president, it's 4 years and then another 4 years. And after that, you can't do it anymore. And then some organizations say, as long as you continue to be elected or selected, you can continue to serve different, consecutive terms. And
Right.
what do we have? What are we proposing, or what is in place for this organization? Because most of our terms will be up this year, right?
Right.
So our
Yeah,
council person can reappoint us, and for how many times can they do that?
right. That's a great question. And that's not one that we have sort of specified in our in the ordinance. I do need to review the bylaws if we did specify that in the bylaws, but I'm looking at state law right now, and an OCGA 441024 is the section A is, let me just read that out and see if that answers your question. It says the local governing body of a municipality electing to enact this ordinance shall establish the Historic Preservation Commission. Such local governing body shall determine the number of members of the commission, which shall be at least 3, and the length of their terms, which shall be no greater than 3 years. A majority of the members of any such commission shall have demonstrated special interest, etc. Let me review the entire state law and then also our bylaws and see if we have something that states that a member can only serve 1 term or allowed to serve up till 2 terms and can things of that nature. So let me review that and I can get back to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I am concerned, as we can easily see real fast, you need to have a rotation of members so that you can retain continuity of any items that may be going on. If you totally replace the entire commission at one time, you lose that continuity. So we need to kind of go to the either stagger the terms relative to our council people or somehow meld that together. As you can easily understand, we might have a issue if we have projects going on and we all have to leave at one time. Right. And if there might be a way to tie that in with the council member terms, I think that would be appropriate. Unfortunately, according to what I'm hearing from the state, they cannot run concurrent with the council term, but we would have to make arrangements to have each council member would therefore have to appoint or reappoint afterwards. It's council. I'm curious to hear what you come up with on this, as how we might be able to do this, work this into if necessary, into the bylaws and ordinance before they're totally codified, or well, they're already codified, but before they're finally approved and sent on to Municode.
And that is my concern, that if we're all working on something and then, our term is up and a whole new set of people come in, the continuity is lost, and I don't want us to lose what we're doing, the service we're providing. So thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I appreciate the thoughts. Anybody have anything else relative to the ordinance?
Yes, just a question. So for this is a civil, and I'm in District 2. And so I'm in an even term, and I looked at the website, and I think my term, I don't know if it's up anymore. Should I go back to my council person?
Sybil, I think the even number you and I are on as 2 and 4 currently. Our terms will run out, I think, this October.
Okay.
Is the way
I
it's
thought
set
it was
up currently.
2020. Okay, I thought it was 2020. So, okay.
Well, unless somebody says different, and then the 3-year limitation puts an extra kind of a spin on this thing. And again, look forward to what you come up with from the state as what we might be able to arrange to develop some continuity, as well as consistency with the council members' terms. I know there's a solution, just don't know what the best one is at the moment.
Okay.
Any thoughts are appreciated, and feel free to reach out as necessary to the group. And if we have options, please let us know.
Will do. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Thank you. Liz, I understand we have we need to rethink our meeting schedule for next year. I assume this is going to be the 2021 meeting schedule that we're talking about.
Yes, we do. It's council meetings are on the 2nd and 4th Tuesday, and normally our meetings are on the 2nd Tuesday. So just so that we don't have to continuously reschedule them, it would be a good idea to pick another date. And so we have options. We can do the 1st Tuesday, the 3rd Tuesday, the 1st Thursday, 2nd Thursday, or 4th Thursday, if any of those work for you all. You can you all can vote on a date if you narrow it down. However, you all would like to pick a different one that might work better.
The only concern I have is the 2nd Thursday is about a 20-year standing meeting for the South Fulton Parkway Alliance. So 2nd Thursday may not work. Of course, I won't be here after. Well, I may not be here after October, so it's up to y'all. But 2nd Thursday, the South Fulton Parkway Alliance has their meetings on that day, as has been for the past 20 years.
So please don't shout out, yell out, or call.
Well, let's stretch the 2nd Thursday, then that's no problem.
Yeah, just letting you know I'm gonna be.
Okay.
I'm in favor of 3rd Tuesday.
Glass of wine. Can you look? Come here. Let me show you something. Yeah.
Okay, 3rd Tuesday.
Someone's got some background noise going on there.
Okay, there we go. So is anyone opposed to the 3rd Tuesday?
So far, I think that should be doable for me.
That will work for me.
Okay, so
I
then
think we just need one more confirmation. If Dr. Herring is okay with the 3rd Tuesday, I think we can.
That's fine. I'm in total agreement.
Then I guess we only need to check with Miss Miller and make sure that she's all right with it.
Okay. do you all want to vote on the third Tuesday, or do you guys want to just agree that it's going to be the third Tuesday?
Let's agree on the third Tuesday right now, because we may have to. We don't know what's going to happen upcoming, and if anybody has a conflict, please advise Marissa, Nathan, Dana, or somebody there at planning, and we can reschedule. And we're only meeting every other month as it is now anyway. Right. So if we need to make adjustments to the schedule, if somebody has something coming up they cannot get around, please let us know, and I think we can make accommodations to make sure, because there's so few of us and everybody's input is important.
Right.
So at this time, let's agree on the third Tuesday at 1 o'clock. Again, if anybody has a conflict or something that cannot be easily adjusted, and you'd like to have us consider another date, please let planning staff know, and we'll see what we can do about making a modification. Is everybody in agreement?
Yes.
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 Right, thank you. Do we have any other new business to bring before the commission?
This is just another detailed piggyback on what we've been discussing. With us meeting every other month, I just realized that the month of October is not a meeting month. And with people's terms expiring in October, I'm just wondering if that has any impact on anything. Just threw it out there for something else for us to be concerned with or not.
Well, no, go on. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, we can take some time, and, staff can commit to doing a little bit of research. It's going to be just a couple of emails with legal, seeing who's up when, and when do people need to be, renominated and by who. So, I mean, that information exists. We just don't have it at our fingertips. So we can find all that out. I hope nobody loses sleep over losing their spot on the board. I'll say that.
Well, real quick, I have another suggestion too, to get around this. If we start moving into a project such as the Arcadia book, in all likelihood, we may have to meet more often. I'm not opposed to meeting on a monthly basis. Matter of fact, most groups and commissions that meet on a monthly basis get a lot more done. I'm involved with a civic organization that traditionally met every other week, twice a month, and they were most productive when they were meeting twice a month as to now when they're meeting once a month. So as we move into the Arcadia book, it very well may be that we have to meet every month. So I'll just throw that out there. I'm not opposed to it. I think what we are doing and the foundation that we are establishing right now is important for the city, and we need to go ahead and get these thoughts and ideas and some of the things that we are considering in place now to help the next group that's coming along. And that's the reason why we're all here on this board. Our commission is to put in place the things that will advance the historic preservation for South Fulton. So we need to take advantage of that in the short time that we have on the board, all of us. So any thoughts or concerns?
I do have a question about meeting more frequently. I do believe that it is necessary, but I have a question about what if, you miss a meeting or two, will that be detrimental to your spot on the board?
Currently, the bylaws say that if you miss 2 consecutive meetings, that you are up for replacement or you can be removed from the board. I don't know. I mean, everybody's schedules are very hectic. I do know that Miss Miller's time is consumed by her granddaughter, and they have things going on and issues there that they cannot get around, and so I can understand that. Miss Miller, though, is important. She is kind of the historic, right now, she's kind of the historic leader of the Fife community. They are even considering the possibility of establishing an historic district. And I think that would be critical, that she needs to stay involved, even though she may not be able to meet that criteria for, unfortunately, she may miss 2 consecutive meetings, but until we know what direction that the Fife community really wants to go in, I think it's critical that she stays on board, especially if we can make Fife our first historical district.
Can we take out the word? Can we take out the word consecutive and just give a number? If we're talking about meeting 12 times a year,
Right.
I mean, 2 in a row is pretty stringent.
Well, here's the thing that here's the issue. We won't have to meet unless we have decisions that we need to make as a board. So the interim meeting, the one that would happen between 2 regular meetings, would be as if we had business we had to take care of. And Marissa is great about getting out there and making us aware of issues and things and alerting us to items that we need to be aware of. So I don't see it being an issue to leave it like this. Every other month we mandate a meeting, but if we have to go in interim and have a monthly meeting, I think it's something we can do on a kind of like as-called basis.
Right. Okay.
Is there a possibility of altering the, the meeting times, especially if we're going to something more frequently, maybe for those of us who are, employed during the daytime, if there's an option for maybe an evening meeting, not late, but just another time option would be much appreciated.
I agree with that.
I'm not opposed to that. If it works into everybody else's schedule and Melissa can coordinate that, it depends on what her availability is as far as being, or excuse me, what staff's availability is as far as being able to meet with us.
Unfortunately, I'm pretty involved in some other organizations that tend to meet and have committee meetings and all in the evening. And it's anywhere from Monday to Saturday. And I just would not want that, for me, to continue to be a conflict that I would have to choose between not, missing 2 consecutive meetings or whatever. During the day, especially now that we're virtual, during the day has worked for me, but of course I'll have to go with whatever the larger group decides.
I don't have an issue with that. I think if we do have an interim meeting, it's going to be at a time where it fits as many people's schedule as possible. So I don't have a problem with that. Let's just it will be a call meeting pretty much, but I'm just putting that out there that we may be in a situation as Nathan gets this information pulled together from Arcadia, that we may need to start meeting on a more frequent basis. And also, I would like to see whether or not we can go ahead and acquire maybe a layer or 2 on the GIS to see if we can start accumulating some of our historic information and finding a format that would be appropriate to put it on the city's GIS system.
Let me say that's a
Nathan,
good
have you had
idea.
any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I like that. That's a great idea. What I can say that I don't think the city has the staffing capability to do that particular GIS work right now. I could be wrong, but I know that personally, from the planning side, I've got a whole stack of stuff that's been in backlog for a long, long time. So I will exert some privilege to get my stuff done first. But I know that that is a good idea. But we have the city overall, outside of my control, has some GIS, a large GIS backlog, and has to come up with a solution to get that taken care of.
Are you recommending that we approach our council members and suggest that they push to get some GIS techs?
I'm not going to say that. I don't think it would hurt at all. I'm going to tread lightly with that kind of stuff, but it wouldn't hurt at all to give them the idea of having a historical, resources layer in our GIS. As far as requesting more staff or giving them ideas as to what we do, I don't want to make recommendations that affect other departments other than my own, because I want to stay in good graces with everybody.
We understand. So we need to at least get our make our thoughts known and our needs known as far as being able to document some of our stuff and making it public. So
at the very least, if we start gathering, and this will all sort of come from the survey and the book data, right? So we're going to have all this information. As long as we ensure that we keep good records and keep track and organize our information, we will be able to take that, and I'm making this up, but whether it's next year or 2 years or whatever the time frame ends up being, as long as we have the data, we will be able to get that done. I cannot and would not want to give you any false sense of a time frame, because I can't get my own planning GIS work done right now. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Nathan, I understand. We just need to get our reservation in for a couple of layers because they get eaten up in a hurry.
Yeah.
There's already information on the web that we can populate those layers with, such as the National Historic Registry. There are markers in South Fulton. They're disappearing because of the value of the brass signs and monuments, but the Historical Registry has a registry of those signs and historic places that we could actually just hopefully be able to transfer over into the city's GIS. And at least get a few layers started anyway. But as you said, it takes time and some head scratching to do that. But at least when it comes up, if you can have IT, at least reserve a few layers for Historic Commission.
Understood.
Thank you. Does anybody have anything else for the good of the commission?
Well, I don't know if it's for the good of it, but I always overthink things, and I do apologize again for that. But I was just thinking about the what we're putting in our bylaws are saying about attendance at the meetings. I think it might be a better approach to simply at the end of the calendar year or what have you, to submit to all of the county commissioners each of the representatives and how many meetings they attended, because they are the ones that will make the decision about who to select. And if they see one of their members that they recommended only able to participate on a limited basis, they may say, well, Ms. Jones just cannot dedicate the time to this, and I want our area to be represented, so I'm going to appoint someone else. I guess I'm saying, I don't know if we can decide, well, Ms. Jones has missed more meetings than we want her to miss, so we don't want her to, participate again. Or if we can simply notify the councilman to say this is how many meetings Ms. Jones attended out of this many meetings held, and let them make that decision. I don't know if I'm explaining that right or if I'm
You
adding
have
something.
explained it. You've explained it well. You're not overthinking. I think that's best left to the individual council people.
Right.
And the council people may need to be alerted if a commission member is having difficulty meeting,
Right.
or attending the meetings, and they need to be the one, since they appointed that person, they need to be the ones to contact that person to find out if they're still interested. And if not, then have that council person make the adjustment. They would have to make the replacement. They would have to select who the replacement would be anyway. So I think that's an appropriate way to do it.
Mhm.
I don't know that our language can be, I don't know if we can make that modification to the bylaws and ordinance at this time or not, or if it's something we just handle informally. And then I have to go back to council on that, get them to make a decision on that or some advice on that.
So as it stands now, the bylaws already incorporate what we just discussed. The mayor and this commission, after having a public hearing, would decide, for just cause, if a member should be removed or not reappointed. And some of the reasons are listed, and I put them in the chat as well. One of them is, failure to attend 3 consecutive meetings. So say if someone misses a meeting but then attends the next meeting, then the chances are for that person to get 3 consecutive missed meetings are actually less than the chances of a person just missing 3 meetings overall. So that language actually protects members from, that it wouldn't be just cause unless you miss 3 consecutive meetings. So we can modify that. We can make that 5 consecutive meetings, or whatever the commission thinks is best in the commission's best interest. But as it stands now, I think it incorporates, what we just discussed.
Okay. Now, let me clarify that, because I'm hearing that that House Bill 1024 may have some impact on this. Are the council members actually appointing us now, or is the mayor appointing us now? Because when you said, when you mentioned a minute ago, you would say we need to talk to the mayor, but, or.
I was talking about vacancies, essentially discussing, what happens if, what's considered a just cause, because we were discussing meetings that are missed and things of that nature. So I was referring to the language in the bylaws that says that, the city's mayor and the commission, upon receiving written charges after a public hearing, say someone from the board said that, this person has missed 3 consecutive meetings for just cause, things of that nature, without an excuse, then that would be a valid reason for removal.
Okay. So it would be actually up to it would still involve the individual council people to select the members of the commission.
Right.
Okay.
So there are eight of the members. They're qualified electors of the city. They're appointed by the mayor and ratified by the council. And we have that language in the bylaws as well.
Okay. So you're saying that the members are actually selected by the mayor and then ratified by the council?
That's correct. Mm-hmm. And then we have the term of 2 years listed in the term limits. And just going back to Ms. Sybil's question from earlier, in the bylaws, we have that members may be appointed to succeed themselves and shall serve at the discretion of the city council until a new member is appointed in their place. So the state law only, limits the term to 3 years or less, and then does not discuss reappointments. But I just had a chance to look at, DeKalb County, Savannah, and a couple other term limits for the Historic and Cultural Landmarks Commission for these different municipalities and counties. And they have used the maximum amount of time given by state law. So they have used 3 years, and they have used 2 consecutive terms. But we've left it open because we've said members may be appointed to succeed themselves and will serve at the discretion of the city council. So that's how we have left it in our bylaws.
Great. Thank you very much. That's very sharp that you were able to pick that up real fast. Thank you. Does anybody else have a question, comment, or concern for the commission? Marissa and staff, as always, Nathan, Dana, group, appreciate your time and effort in this, and thank you very much to help prepare for this meeting. If no other business is before us, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Hello.
I motion to adjourn the meeting.
Thank you very much. Y'all take care. Stay safe and warm, and looking forward to talking with y'all next meeting. If Nathan, Marissa, or Dana don't have something before us before then.
Right. Enjoy the rest
Have a
of
good
your day, guys.
afternoon.
Take care,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Thanks a lot. Great meeting.
Yeah. Bye.
Great.
Bye-bye.
Get out and enjoy the weather. Thank you.
Okay.